One thing that's super important that we overlook is rest. And today is one of my rest days from the gym. I love going to the gym. At this point in my life, it's kind of like beyond physical. It just helps get my mental right and stimulate it in the right direction. And when I go to the gym, I just feel like everything else just adds on to me. Like I'm not chasing anything. Everything kind of just really just attracts to me. Kind of like getting your day started by like meditating or reading or doing something productive. How the rest of the day kind of like follows you rather than you waking up, scrolling on social media and feel like you're chasing the day. That's kind of how it is when I go to the gym. But I understand if you want to grow muscles, a big part of growing muscles outside of sleep, outside of diet, is rest. Because still a lot of people who don't know, like your muscles grow when you rest them. Your muscles are not growing when you're working them out. And I know you feel strong in the gym. But that's actually when you're breaking down all your muscle tissue. You know what I mean? Yeah, muscles actually grow when you rest. And sometimes we neglect rest. We feel like when we're resting, we're not really doing much. We don't feel productive. We feel like we're not getting anything done, or the process is not working because we think the active process of working out is what makes us build the muscle. But it's when your body repairs and it can rest when you actually build all that muscle back. And rest is just not just important in the gym. The funny thing is about life is a lot of things, if not everything in life, is interconnected. And I mean by that is it might look different on the outside, but it's the same on the inside. So, for an example, just so quick now, just top of my head, we have flowers and plants. You know what I mean? And plants take in water. You know what I mean? They need sunlight to grow. You know what I mean? They start off in the darkness below the surface, and you really don't know if the process is working or not, if it's really growing to its full potential. But then after it's, above the surface, it sprouts, and you're like, oh, here it go, and it's beautiful. You know what I mean? And that's the same type of thing with our processes. You know what I mean? We start off in the dark. We start off seeing basically no to little, fruits from our labor. We put in a lot of work. You got to really make an initial investment before you start seeing any return back. You know what I mean? And sometimes we're wondering, like, okay, is what I'm doing is right? You know what I mean? I feel like I'm doing the right things. I feel like I'm moving, but I feel like nothing's changing around me. But then out of nowhere, boom, that's when you sprout up the surface, and the seed that you planted in your head, which is your idea, materializes and manifests. You know what I mean? So, but that doesn't happen if you're not resting at certain point in times. You know what I mean? Like I said, resting is not good for the gym. Resting is just good for life. And that's one thing I've definitely came to really make intentionalized in my life. Resting and not feel like I have to always do something. And one part of me is the gym. I feel like I always had to go to the gym just to keep my mental right or to just keep my muscles. You know what I mean? But realize that's not really not needed. You know what I mean? Rest is actually more important than actually always going to the gym so your body can recover properly. You know what I mean? So you can be ready for the next workout. But then also in my everyday life, just my business life, being an entrepreneur, just being a hustler, just being very ambitious and passionate, I always feel like I have to control every variable in my life. I always feel like there's something for me to do. And don't get me wrong, I've made strides doing that, but I feel like I've lost those same strides that I made, or it took a lot more work than it needed to be to get there by me feeling like I had to do everything by myself. In all actuality, that wasn't me feeling like I had to do everything by myself. I really was doing everything by myself because, you know what I mean? God in the universe is more mental, you know what I mean? And the universe and God is working when we're present, when we're in the moment now. And a lot of us, especially me, like I said, when I talk to you, I'm talking to my old self and me as well, just to stay on track. But a lot of us, we're always in the present or we're in the past. We're never really present. If you ever just take a day just to like observe yourself and just your thoughts and like how much it wanders to topic, you'll be surprised with yourself. You know what I mean? And I did that with myself, and I found out that I've wandered a lot. And I'm not really centered and present. And when you're not centered and present, you really miss all the like. You're not aware of all the blessings or all the signs that God or the universe is making in your life. You know what I mean? Because you're not present. And then the present in this moment can also mean rest. Because when you're in the present moment, your brain is not chaotic like boats in an ocean wave. You know what I mean? When you're in rest state, your brain is very smooth. And when your brain is smooth, that's given basically it's making room for you to download or for you to be aware wherever God has put into your path. You know what I mean? And like I said, in my journey, I was doing all the work, and I know God looked at me like, "All right, go ahead, do all the work. You think it's easier? Go ahead." And I feel like I went through the ringer for 2 cents. I'm like, "Damn, all this for 2 cents." I feel like I did at least like $2,000 worth of work, but that's because I had to control everything. You know what I mean? And just me recently in my life, when it comes to my business, when it comes to the gym, or just like personal life, and me just feeling like I don't have to control everything and that I kind of have everything already. Everything has been better. I feel like I've made more gains in the gym by me taking more rest days, or me feeling like I don't have to always go to the gym, than me feeling like I have to be in the gym. I feel like I've made more strides in my business, or just me and money in general, my relationship with money in general, just because I've opened up that outlet for God and the universe to work into my life. And you realize that when you rest, you're like teaming up with God and the universe at that point in time. When you're trying to do everything by yourself and you're thinking not in the present, in the future, in the past, and you can accomplish a lot doing everything by yourself. You know what I mean? But it's going to take 3 times the effort, and it might take a little bit longer than you proceeded, because you only seeing things to go one way, rather than from God's lens, it can go infinite amount of ways. But probably a little bit off topic, but still on topic. But the basis of the video is, don't neglect rest. You know what I mean? When you're in rest, when you're in solitude, when you're in peace, that's when you give room for, that's when you give time for everything to work into your life. You know what I mean? Whether it's physical in your body, whether it's your money, whether it's your personal life, but you have to rest. You know what I mean? Resting is not bad. And I know for my fellas out there, like I said, when you resting, you feel like you're not productive, like you're counterproductive, and time is just passing you by. You know what I mean? 'Cause just the things that we're taught and we're fed. You know what I mean? The media, the news, whatever the case may be. But you don't always have to work hard to get certain things. You know what I mean? You can definitely work smarter. And one way of working smarter is incorporating rest just in your workout routine, or just rest into your life. Don't always feel like you got to work to make money or work to get something. You'll be surprised if you just rest and know that it's coming to you, how things are working into your life. The most circumstances that you wouldn't even picture or realize that would happen to you will happen to you if you just allow rest and God and being in the present moment to work into your life.